greatness, well, you're going to need 4 basic elements. And it's like every single Jum'ah, you're supposed to remind yourself of these 4 elements. Do not forget, this is what you need. These are the building bricks of what Islam is supposed to look like on a larger scale, right? Now, 4 elements, 4 stories. That's what Surat AlKahf is. And it is so unique to the point where even those 4 stories are not repeated anywhere else in the Quran. You will not find these stories anywhere else. It's only Surat AlKahf. Al-Kahf is only in Surat AlKahf. The story of the 2 men, the 2 men with the two gardens, only in Surat AlKahf. The story of Musa and Al-Khadr, only in Al-Kahf, and Dhul-Qarnayn, only in Al-Kahf. You'll find that is very unique. The level to have 4 original stories in one surah, that means that this is something very, very special, because you will find the story of Adam and Nuh and Lut and Hud and Salih and Shu'aib and Musa repeated many times throughout the Quran. And yes, there's always a unique perspective of the surah, but you will find the surah in a sense, or to some degree, being repeated in different places. But Surah Al-Kahf contains 4 stories that are totally original, not repeated anywhere else. Very specific to the theme of the surah. What are the 4 elements? It's starting from the backwards and going to the end and going backwards. Number 1 is, number 4 is power, Dhul-Qarnayn. And number 3 is knowledge, which is Musa wal-Khadr. And number 2 is wealth, which we are going to start studying today in the 2nd story. And then the first element that we studied in the story of Al-Kahf themselves. The surah being called based on their story. The surah being called based on it is the idea. It's the idea. It is the ethical compass, or the group of values that you stand for. What is it that you believe in? What is your theology? What is your ideology based on? See, if that doesn't exist, the rest of the elements don't do anything. Like, if you don't have that, then whatever wealth, whatever knowledge, whatever... Whatever wealth, knowledge, or power exists will do nothing. We won't, because it's not channeled in one direction. It does not serve a common purpose, so it doesn't help in any way. But if you have the idea, if the idea is there, if what you stand for is clear, if your list of values and fundamentals are held properly or highly ranked in your heart and those around you, have like-minded people, then whatever knowledge, wealth, or power you obtain will actually do something. It will be channeled. You'll see the impact of it. You'll see the influence. Now that will answer the question of why is it that Muslims are large in number, yet you can't see the impact of that number. Why is it that there's 2 billion of us? Why is it that there's 30,000 of us in a community, that you can't feel the impact, right? The echo of this group isn't there because it's lacking that first point. Ashab al-Kahfi wal-Raqim. Al-Raqim, they wrote everything down. They knew what they stood for. They knew they had a plan. They understood exactly where they were going and why they were doing what they were doing. Very important to them. They took time to write it down. Plus they were like-minded. And that means that their efforts, their energy was channeled in one direction and it would do something. It's not scattered into the universe uselessly. There's actually something that's bringing it together. And you ask, why is it that 30,000 people there's no impact for them, or not making a difference for themselves or for other people around them, which should be the case. The case is that when a Muslim community exists, the khayr that exists within it there's so much of it that it spills all over everyone around them. In a figurative meaning. Meaning the khayr goes to everywhere. Everyone is going to benefit from the khayr of this Muslim community. But if they can't even help themselves, well, the question is why? Is it the problem with the deen itself, or is it the problem with the way that Muslims are dealing with it to begin with? We lack that. We just lack the idea. Not in the sense that it isn't there. We lack our clarity of understanding it. We don't know what we want yet. We haven't looked deeply enough to understand what is it that we want. Oh, 3 guys did it. 3 teenagers did it. And they changed the outcome of a whole kingdom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made sure that they died and then woke up again. They slept and woke up again to see the impact of what they did. Because if you could just organize a bit, just a bit, if you could just come together and agree on a couple of basic points and then start working towards a common goal, your impact is limitless, specifically if you're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah will change the laws of the universe for you just like He did for Ahlul-Kahf or Raqim. Very simple. And even if you can't see the difference in your lifetime, like you have to believe that, you have to know that it's a ripple effect. You may not see it right now, but it'll happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kulli shay qadir. See, Ahlul-Kahf, they thought about what were you going to do? 3 guys, doing some khair, spreading a message, trying to bring people back to deen, trying to, help those who are uneducated or offer those who need some social support or money. Just finding ways to help make people's lives better. What is that going to do? What is that going to do? Sleep for 300 years and wake up, and then you'll find out what that can do. You can see what that can do. Because it's not you who's doing it anyway, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just fulfill, just do your part. Shaykh, just do your part. Just find out, and it doesn't work any other way. You need the idea. I fear from moving forward to the next story, and then this not being crystal clear to everyone who's listening. It's fundamental. It's a principle that is undebatable. Understanding the importance of having that idea, the clarity of where we are and where we have to go, and then gathering around you like-minded people who will be a part of that as well.
So, sir, how should we implement on us?
All right.
What should we do?
So that, of course, is the $1,000,000 question, right? So what is it? Yeah, I need that. Yeah, you think I have the? No, I don't. See, that's the whole thing. Is that there is no one person with the answer for this. I can't offer the answer. What I can offer you is how you're supposed to start thinking. You're supposed to start looking for those who are like-minded. And you're supposed to sit with those people who are like-minded, who are thinking like you, who have similar goals to you in this dunya and akhirah. And then you start talking about, okay, how is it that we can, or how can we improve the status of our society? What is wrong that needs to be fixed? What challenges do we have that we can easily overcome if we just had a bit more organization amongst each other? How can we be proactive for ourselves? How can we improve the status of our ummah? And when that happens, and when enough people are talking about it, and enough people are coming together, you will see it'll work. You will meet, just like Ahlul-Kahf met. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it. They met, they didn't know each other, they were learning all these things from different sources. And then one day they find themselves standing in front of each other, awkwardly and silently, but they found a way to connect. And then khair came from that, khair that changed the status of a community, inevitably. Right? And even though they couldn't see it, but it happened. So I don't have the answer, but I have the method. I can tell you what you need to start doing. And then when you start doing that, you start saying, okay, what khair can we do? How can we start? Where can we start? Everyone sees things differently. We need the different perspectives, we need the different ideas, and we need different people with different expertise in the world and in life in order for us to actually do something. But is it impossible? Is it not? Is it something we cannot do? Is it beyond our ability? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, look, even if you thought that, remind yourself of the story of Halaqah. We're just 3 to 17, tops 7 guys, all under 20. And this is what I did for them, and this is what the impact of their actions. So don't fool yourself by saying, no, well, I can't do anything, or my effort or my influence is going to be very limited, or what. You can't change world policy. Everything can change. As long as there's La ilaha illallah, everything can change, because it's all Him anyway. So just do your part. And then I like talking about the circle of influence. So you start with yourself, and then you have a family, and then it becomes your family. And then if you do that, then it gets bigger and bigger. And then you connect with people who are doing the same, and now it turns into a network. And then when there's enough people, it lights up. And then you can see things in a different perspective. And that's what I hope you take from the story of Al-Kahf. If you think about it. After the story was over, there was a number of ayat that did commentary, that commented on the story itself. And we talked about the concepts that these ayat carried, and I'll just revise them quickly before we continue. So the first concept in سَيَقُولُونَ ثَلَاثَةٌ رَابِعُهُمْ كَلْبُهُمْ in that ayah is, do not focus on what is superficial. Do not lose focus on what is essential in any story or in anything in life. Don't be someone who is superficial. Be someone of essence and of substance. Don't talk about issues that are completely useless. 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 doesn't mean anything. Who cares? It doesn't change what you actually benefit from the story. So be someone who's capable of seeing the substance and essence in everything. That's the first lesson in this story. Very important, because we will not be able to have an idea if we are still thinking in a superficial manner. If our thoughts are very superficial, then even coming to talk about what is it that we stand for, what is it that we need, you'll end up having ideas that are extremely superficial and useless. You'll find people who are focusing on appearances, I want to see, what is it that you want to see in your community? And then I get something like, well, I want to see, our youngsters wearing the hats and the gillabi. Why? Why does that matter to you what they wear? Like, who cares what their haircuts are? Can we focus maybe on what's inside of their hearts and what they hope to be, and their aspirations and their ambitions and their creed and what they believe in? Isn't that more important? Focusing on how it has to look from outside is superficial and it's useless. It's a waste of time and money and effort. Money is wasted on these things beyond your imagination from a communal point of view. So much money is wasted on just appearances. The Prophet ﷺ started an unparalleled revolution in human history from a masjid that had no walls, no carpet, and was covered by old pieces of palm tree fiber. That's where he changed the world from there. That's where he changed. When they prayed, if it was raining, then he would make sujood on teen. It would be mud. And they would say when he would come up from sujood, you could see the mud running down his face, and he wouldn't wipe it off. He would tell me, don't wipe it, just leave it. Leave it, be proud that you are starting something so great from a situation so dim and so difficult. Yet we spend immense amounts of money on issues that just do nothing but make things look good. Or just make it seem as if it's working, even though it's not working. The difference between educating your kid and sending them to school. This ayah is telling you, it's the difference between educating your children and sending them to school. You may think they're the same thing, but they are not. Yes, the school is a place to be educated, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your kid now is an educated human being. You sent them to school. Right? You can say that, I sent them to the best school. Are they educated? No. Well, who cares? Why should I care that you sent them to a school or you didn't send them to a school? Do they know do they understand why they're alive? Are they well-educated human beings with clarity of perspective and purpose in life? Are they not? It's the difference between what is superficial and what is of substance, what is important, what is deep, what has meaning to it. And then just issues that, no big deal. The first ayah, very important. There's another ayah in Surat Al-Mudaththir that talks about the same thing. This is a topic in the Quran that is repeated a couple of times. Please do not get caught up on issues that are completely useless and worthless. As example of the number of Al-Kahf, not number one. After that, وَلَا تَقُولَنَّ لِشَيْءٍ إِنِّي فَاعِلٌ ذَلِكَ. Everything you do in your life, you need to make sure it is in accordance to Allah's will. It's not just saying inshaAllah, but it's making sure that what you are doing is in Allah's will. You're not going to say inshaAllah I'm going to do something and that something is going to be a sin. You're not going to say inshaAllah tomorrow I'm going to go drink alcohol. No, you're not saying inshaAllah to that. It would be very weird for you to say inshaAllah. You would say I'm going to do it, not necessarily not inshaAllah. So the concept of putting it under Allah's will is understanding that this is His will subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ إِذَا نَسِيتَ. That's why the moment you make a decision and you didn't think about Allah's will, remind yourself. And then say, Ya Rabb, please guide me to a decision that is even closer to haqq than the decision that I made. I came up with an idea, it may be haqq, it may be close to haqq, maybe a bit far away from rashada. Ya Rabb, please let me make sure that I could bring it closer to rashada than I was able to. Making sure that every decision you make, that's how these are the elements you need for us to come up with an idea, for us to take from the Quran the things that we need to build our community. These are the characteristics we're going to need. You have to be somewhat of substance. You can't be superficial. If you're superficial, you're going to ruin it. If it's going to be just based on appearances, then Allah take it out. We're done. Nothing's going to work. You have to be someone who, before they make a decision, always think, is this the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or is this the will of me? Or is this what I want? Because there's a big difference between what I want and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. I want things that He may not care for too much, or may not be very high on His list of priorities subhanahu wa ta'ala right now, but I want them. But that doesn't matter. It's not important. That's number two. Number three, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminded us that He is the one who knows all, who hears all, who sees all. So when you're making up your plan, putting your plan together with your ideology, remind yourself, no matter how hard it seems, no matter how far-fetched it seems to you, it's all in His hands anyway. That's why He gave us the little وَلَبِثُوا فِي كَهْفِهِمْ 300 سِنِينَ وَازْدَادُوا تِسْعًا. 300 Gregorian years, 390 Hijri years, just in case you thought He didn't know to do the math, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows what, لَهُ غَيْبُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Every unseen thing in the heavens and the earth. This is, He sees the most and He hears the most, and you have nothing and no one to stand by you but Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's number three. Reminding yourself of that concept is important. Because is it dark now? If you were to look at it from a figurative point of view, is the situation of Muslims today dark? Could it be darker? Well, every time I think it can't get darker, it does. I don't know how. But somehow every time we think this is like as pitch black as it can become, it becomes even worse. We're even more lost. And there's actually, it seems to be there's no end to this graph going down. There's no end to it. But we remind ourselves, well, it's all in his hands anyway. He has all the knowledge. He knows it all. He hears it all. He sees it all. It's in his hands. So maybe you should stop worrying about it. Maybe it's time for you to do your part and stop worrying. That's number 3. That concept of understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows it all anyway. So why are you excessively worried to the point where it is stopping you from being able to do your job and functioning properly? That's the level of anxiety and worry that you're not supposed to have. You're not supposed to worry to the point where you stop feeling motivated to do your job and fulfill your purpose. You're supposed to worry to the extent that allows you to plan it out properly. Of course, that's the level of worry that's healthy. But if you worry to the point where you say, well, there's no point. There's no hope. It's not going to happen. It's impossible. It's impossible. World policy changing, impossible. It's not going to happen. There's nuclear weapons today. Nothing's going to change. It's not going to happen. So what? So we sit around and do nothing? Is that your point? If that's your point, then no. If that's your point, then no. لَهُ غَيْبُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَبْصِرْ بِهِ وَأَسْمِعْ مَا لَهُ مِنْ دُونِهِ مِنْ وَلِيٍّ. No. There's no one else but Him. No one will protect you but Him. There's no one who is included in the decisions He makes but Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So rest assured. The third, these are characteristics that will allow us to be like Ahl al-Kahf in the sense of doing what they did, of being able to take that stand, to come up with that plan, and to do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have an impact. You need to have some characteristics. 3 so far. Number 1, you have to be someone of essence and not superficial. Number 2, you need always to attach every single decision you make to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, not to your own. Number 3, you have to understand that it's all in His hands anyway. So never you lose hope. Never lose hope and never worry to an excessive point where you stop functioning. Number 4, وَاتْلُ مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ كِتَابِ رَبِّكَ, recite what He revealed to you from His book. Because that is where you're going to find it. Because, okay, I got all 3. We're people of substance, and we make sure that we're trying to please Allah in everything we do, and we understand that it's all in His hands. Where do I look? Where do I fish for my ideas? Well, right here. Read. That's why read. Start reading. And as you read, you will find the wisdom in His book subhanahu wa ta'ala that will allow you to come up with your way of thought, and come up with your plan. Number 4. Number 5. Suhbah. You need like-minded people. وَاصْبِرْ نَفْسَكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ. And then hold on tight, with patience, with perseverance, to those who think like you. Those who agree with you on how things are going to happen. If you do not have around you a group of individuals who believe in what you believe in, who share your worries, who share your concerns, and share your ambitions, then alone you will not be able to stand. You need to have what? وَاصْبِرْ نَفْسَكَ. It's as if the wording, the linguistics of it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you it's going to be hard. Meaning you're not necessarily going to enjoy every moment of the day with them. They're not going to be the coolest gang, they're not going to be the funnest gang. But as long as they يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ, they call upon their Lord in the morning, the evening like you do. Right? As long as they think the way you think, then hold on to them. Now the ayah even goes a bit further. It tells you, لَا تَعْدُ عَيْنَاكَ عَنْهُمْ. Do not even look away from them. Well, don't awkwardly stare, right? Because it's not literal. But the figurative way of understanding it is that do not look anywhere else. You found them, khalas. You know who it is you're going to be working with. This is you found it. You're very, very, very lucky. You found them. Then don't look elsewhere. تُرِيدُ زِينَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Looking for the adornments and the joys and the temporary highs of this world. Looking for money and wealth. No. If you found someone who thinks like you, who wants to achieve what you want to achieve, then you hit the jackpot. It's a very specific linguistic phrase in Arabic for him to use that word. وَلَا تَعْدُ عَيْنَاكَ عَنْهُمْ تُرِيدُ زِينَةَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيا وَلَا تُطِعْ مَنْ أَغْفَلْنَا قَلْبَهُ عَنْ ذِكْرِنَا. Do not walk down the road of those whose hearts were made oblivious of our remembrance, and they followed their desires, وَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ وَكَانَ أَمْرُهُ فُرُطًا, and their matter at the end is going to be scattered and unfocused and is not going to be worth anything. فُرُطًا, فَارِطًا, means nothing. It's worth nothing. It amounts to nothing. There are people like that. You're surrounded by them all the time. They may not stay like that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may guide them more than He guided you one day. But for the time being, if you want to make a difference, if you want to be like Ahl al-Kahf, if you want to have them the right characteristics and and attributes in order to make the difference that they made and to walk down the path that they decided to walk on, then you're going to need a group of people who are like-minded to stick, and you have to stick with them. And if you're lucky enough to find them. And the thing is, we are very lucky, wallahi. We're still in the lucky times. We're still in the blessed times. There's a lot of people like that around you. Like right now, sitting around you are enough people to change a community easy. And they think like you, and they have the same aspirations as you. They have the same ambitions. They're very like-minded. Now the question is, can you bring the rest of the elements into this story, into this picture, in order for a change to actually happen? It can happen. Can you bring the rest of the elements that Surat AlKahf talked about, the characteristics that we just discussed? But you'd need, see, AlKahf is not one person. He gave you numbers, 3, 5, 7. It went down to 3. Nothing less than 3. Right? Because 1 is an individual and 2 is a pair. No, it's not going to happen. You need more. You need more. But the smallest number of a jama'ah is 3, right? Like if you go to study, fiqh of Jumu'ah, so Shafi'i needs 40 people for a salah to happen. 39, no. For Imam Shafi'i, that's how few. But Abu Hanifa, 3. Because 3 is a jama'ah. 3 is the smallest number you can call jama'ah. That's the smallest number you can call. So if 3 is there, we're good. That's why the surah talked about 3. The idea is just a group. Just have a group. Have a group that you can see eye to eye with on the fundamental issues, on the big stuff, right? The aspirations and ambitions of your society. Then you're good, inshallah. And then if you find them, then don't look elsewhere. Don't get distracted by anything. Just focus and don't follow down the road of those whose hearts are oblivious of the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they're running around behind their desires, and their matter at the end is going to be of no worth whatsoever. Those are the 5 characteristics. There's one more. One more. We'll recite today, inshallah, the next 3 ayat. I'll give us the 6th characteristic, or the 6th piece of commentary on AlKahf, and it's a very, very important one. It may take some time, inshallah, looking at the depth of it. So we start from ayah number 29 of Surat AlKahf, page 297, if you're using a Madani printed Mus'haf. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقل الحق من ربكم. فمن شاء فليؤمن ومن شاء فليكفر. إنا أعتدنا للظالمين نارا. نارا أحاط بهم سرادقها. Pay attention to the way that's pronounced. Suradiquha. Just pay attention to that word specifically. It's a very specific word. We'll talk about it in a second. وَإِن يَسْتَغِيثُوا يُغَاثُوا بِمَاءٍ كَالْمُهْلِ يَشْوِي الْوُجُوهِ. بئس الشراب وساءت مرتفقا. So we'll explain this one first, and then we'll move on to the 2 ayat that are after it. Now, let's say that you have obtained the 5 previously spoken of characteristics. So you've taken the 5 things that you need. You have the substance and the essence. You understand how to think. You revise your decisions to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every single time. You know that it's all in His hands subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're looking into the Quran for your answers. You have the right people around you, meaning you're moving down the right path of getting this done. So what is it that you're going to do once you have it? Now, how are you going to move forward in your community? What is it that you're going to be saying? What did AlKahf say? So what was their way of dealing with people? Right? Because they dealt with people, believers and non-believers in their society. What was the way they did it? Right? So understand, what is their narrative that people can accept or not accept? So the narrative was, and say, Al-haqqu min rabbikum. Now there's two ways to understand this, this phrase based on the qira'ah you are using, and I'll explain both ways. Al-haqqu min rabbikum means, say that the truth source is from your Lord. Right? Another way of understanding this is saying, وَقُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ, and then say the truth to people that comes from your Lord. Now you're saying, well, what's the difference? No. The first one is a statement, meaning say, truth is from your Lord. Right? So say, what are you going to say? I should say to people, truth is from your Lord. Another way of understanding is the following, is say the truth, and talk of the truth that comes from your Lord. Are you seeing the difference? One is literal, meaning say the following sentence, truth is from your Lord. The other way of looking at this ayah is, talk about the truth that the source is from your Lord. Right? So there's both ways. And both ways, of course, are very similar in what they mean, but you can understand it that way, either way. So let's look at it from in the second way. And now what are you supposed to say? Well, how about you talk the way AlKahf did? Talk about the truth that comes from your Lord. Spread it. Speak of it. Speak of it every moment you can, every situation, every sitting. How about you talk about it? And you explain what that haqq is. You explain what righteousness is, what truthfulness is, what the truth is that comes from your Lord. Now that's a big word. I'm not going to even go to this next part of this ayah before we take a moment and look at this. That word haqq is huge. It's tremendous. There's no word in the language that comes even slightly close to what the concept of al-haqq is. Al-haqq is such an important concept in Islam and in the world that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name, He calls Himself al-haqq. He is al-haqq, He is the truth subhanahu wa ta'ala in His own essence. He says, وَمَا خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. And we only created the skies and the heavens and the earth, the skies and the earth. We only created this universe with everything in it based on the concept of haqq, on truthfulness and righteousness. That is the basis of our creation. We created everything so that it would function based on righteousness. So it would only prosper if you use righteousness. So things would only make sense and be of worth if their goal was to serve righteousness. Al-haqq. Everything becomes very, very small and trivial when you compare it with al-haqq. Everything. And if it doesn't, then we have a problem. We have a cancerous problem. Not a simple one that can be fixed with a few sermons. No, we have a cancerous problem that will destroy everything that Islam and society and community stands for. We'll just kill it. If there's anything that is more important than doing what is right at any point, if there's anything that is worth to you or to me or to anyone here or as a group that is more important to us than saying and doing that which is right, then khalas. The rest of it is not important. What you wrote and what you agreed and the people, it's all gone. It doesn't matter anymore. You and me and my group and we took all the right characteristics. No. Al-haqq. What is al-haqq for you? Is it sourced strictly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And is it the most important thing? And is it the thing that you will stand for? And is it the thing that you will spread amongst people? Or will you spread your own agenda? Or do you have your own thing that you want? So you'll spread that amongst people. And then haqq isn't that important anymore. Or you'll overlook a few issues of haqq, of clarity, of righteousness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala established clearly in His book, and established clearly as a way of thought, and then talk about issues that matter to you. Things that you specifically have beef with, or have a problem with, or something that you feel is personal. وَقُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ. الْحَقُّ. Nothing comes close to haqq. Nothing can. And it's you think it's easy. So wallahi, it's a hard thing to do. Sure. What I mean, what I'm looking at from the concept of haqq, is that many times in life, you will be put in a situation where your personal interest, where your needs, where your whims and desires, where your fears will be in crossfire of you doing that which is right, or saying that which is right, or acting in a righteous manner. or holding on to the concepts of righteousness. Sometimes you'll be oppressed or persecuted and asked to stop believing in something that you know for sure is al-haq, or stop advocating for something that is clear to you is a part of al-haq, because you are scared of physical harm or financial harm or social security. Or then what? And then what do we do? And then what happens? When our decision is going to affect our social status, or affect our ability to make a good living, or affect where we're going to live on earth because maybe we can't live here anymore, or affect people's opinions in me, or how they view me, or do they like me anymore, or do they not like me anymore? What about, where is haqq? Now, with that comes a very dangerous concept of actually knowing what haqq is. Because if you don't understand things correctly, you may overvalue, overestimate something, or underestimate something else. So understanding haqq is its own step that you need to make. Understanding what is fundamental in Islam. What are the issues or the principles that we cannot compromise ever? That we never ever compromise. This is what it is. It'll never change. The issue of justice and equality and service of others. The concept of belief in La ilaha illallah and everything that comes with that. These fundamental principles of what Islam truly stands for in its essence. Will you be able to always stick to them? Or will there be situations or circumstances that can move you away, or cause you to give in? Just always say the truth. Always say what needs to be said. Of course, knowing that it actually needs to be said. I find two problems. I find two extremes. I find people who compromise what is haqq. If the popular culture or the popular opinion no longer supports this way of thought, even if it's totally Islamic, then we stop accepting it, or we find a way to get rid of it, or we stop talking about it because it's not popular anymore to stand on the minbar and talk about Palestine, right? It's not popular to talk about the fact that it's apartheid occupation on a land for over 70 years now, that have thrown people out of their homes, killed a complete race of people and destroyed their lives, and the heart of a part of the world that is almost homogeneous. If they weren't there, that's not popular to speak of anymore. So we don't talk about it too often. Only if there's bombing. Only if the rest of the world suddenly thinks it's important, then we can talk about it. But we have to take our cue from them. We have to wait for CNN to start saying, this has happened and children were killed. Oh, so it's okay now, so we'll talk about it. And then I find another group of people who don't know what haqq is. They seriously do not know what haqq is. They're willing to stand for it till the end. They'll go for haqq till the end, but they don't know what haqq is. They don't know what it is, so they're ruining more than they're actually helping, because they have a distorted understanding of what haqq is.
It seems to me in those kind of issues, like the people who are doing that, they just delay as long as they can, because when decades go by, you start to kind of forget stuff, and it just starts to wash away. Like, I remember maybe 10, 12 years ago, I was up in arms every day. I was reading Everett Said, everything he wrote. I was up in arms, and now it just gets pushed aside. It's on the back page of the World News,
Yep.
But it's still there.
People get bored. We do get bored of issues. You can grow bored of something that's definitely there. But we have both problems, right? So that makes it quite complicated, but not too complicated. Because if you have the right, if you're doing what the surah is telling you to do, if you are someone of substance, if you are someone who always reminds himself of what is the will of Allah here? Forget about what I want. What is the will of Allah? What is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Understand that things are in His hand. You're not being held accountable whether things work out or not. It's His choices subhanahu wa ta'ala. He runs it. You just do your part. If you look into the Quran deeply and truly, truthfully, objectively into the Quran, and you have the right people around you to give you advice, then you will find the haqq. It's not, but still, it needs to be established. What is al-haqq? What was al-haqq for Ashab al-Kahf or Raqib? What was al-haqq for them? Right? They had to establish what it was. And then what they did was, they walked amongst people, saying the truth is from your Lord. Here it is. Here it is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. Here is what He hopes for us. Here's why He created us and how He views us and where we're going and what we're here to do. And they talk about it. Now what happens after that? فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ. He who wills will become a Muslim, become a believer. And he who chooses to, or wants to, will become a mu'min, a believer. وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. And whoever chooses not to, or chooses disbelief, will become a disbeliever. It's totally up to you. This is completely up to you. You want this? Ahlan wa sahlan, come, we'll give it to you. You don't want it, play. No problem, Allah. Do what you want to do. Go believe in what you want to believe in, and act the way you want to act. At the end, of course, this is not without consequences. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not telling us, do whatever you want and there are no consequences. No, no, no. There are very clear consequences for everything. But as far as we're concerned, the way we're going to do this, how we're going to make difference in our communities, how we're going to come up with a plan and have direction, is this. This is what is right. Here is righteousness. Here's right here, right in front of you. This is what's haqq. I will show it to you. Now you choose it. You don't choose it. It is totally up to you. This is completely up to you. I have no interest in forcing you into anything. I have no interest in forcing someone to come and stand on my... Why do I want someone standing on my team who doesn't want to play for it? Think about it. It's counterproductive. Why would I have someone on my team who doesn't want to play the game? Who doesn't believe that our team should win? That's a horrible pick. You don't want him on your team. Let's go play with the other team. No problem. But I'm going to say what is truth. I'm going to say what the truth is. I'm going to say what is right. We are not embarrassed of it. We will not hold back on it. But it's totally up to you if you want to accept it or not. I'm not going to hold you accountable. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has Yawm al-Qiyamah. He'll hold you accountable for your choices, not me. A very, very, very important way of looking at things. As Muslims, ya Jama'ah, we have no interest of forcing anyone to do anything religious. Now, legal, that's a whole different thing. The law, it could be, we could all adopt the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we could not. Some, people based on majority and how they look at things. But we have no reason to want to force anyone to do anything that is religious. Why? Because the definition of nifaq is doing something when you don't believe in it. Why am I making a munafiq? Why would I create a munafiq? That makes no sense. The worst thing in the world is nifaq. That's the worst thing you do. Because there's lack of clarity. Because you don't know what it is. This person, who are you? I don't know, because it's munafiq. Munafiq is extreme. Hum al-adubu fahdharhum. They are the true enemy of all khayr that can ever happen. A kafir is at least is clear. I know what he stands for, and he knows what I stand for. There's clarity. Now, if there's clarity, we can work together. We can coexist, no problem. Because we know where our boundaries are. We know the differences. Nifaq kills it. We have no interest in forcing anyone to do anything. All we do is we say al-haqq min rabbina. Here is the truth that sources from our Lord. Here it is. You want to accept it, and you'll be a believer, and you'll stand beside me. And if you don't want to accept it, then that's fine as well. It's your choice. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't make a difference to me. This is how it's supposed to be presented. This is how it's supposed to be presented. There's no other way to present this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need your assistance in forcing people to do anything. If He wanted to force them, we could have forced them. He doesn't need you to do it for Him. He does not need me to do it for Him either. Doesn't need anyone. He chose to give them free will. Who am I or you to take it away from anyone? How dare anyone take anyone else's free will from them? It's your free will. But I need to do my part. My part is to everything that we studied in Surat AlKahf so far. We have to do all those steps properly. We have to establish a raqim. We have to know what is haqq, and we have to come together and we have to speak of it. And we have to explain it. It has to be clear. And then people can do whatever they want. Now this is my point, or the point that I want you to take a moment to think about. Before we go into the world and blame them, blame the world for Islamophobia, or blame them for not being Muslims, or blame them for not liking Muslims, or blame them for anything. Have we done this? Have we recited the first, 31 ayah of Surat AlKahf? It's funny. It's like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, do it every week from now to Yawm al-Qiyamah. Muslims, you're Muslims now? Okay, here's Surat AlKahf. Now you're going to read this surah every week till the end of time. So you can't tell me Yawm al-Qiyamah when you come and things didn't work out, and people didn't accept Islam, and you didn't make a difference in your community, you can't say, well, we didn't know what to do. I told you to read this surah every single week. How could you have missed this? You can't miss it. Just in case, maybe it's a surah like Surat Al-Hijr. Maybe you don't read Al-Hijr. When was the last time you read Surat Al-Hijr? I don't know. Maybe you never read. Maybe you never even heard of the Surat Al-Hijr before in your life. That's fine. But Al-Kahf, no. Read this every single week. Why? Because you're going to find within it a critical element, a critical point that your communities are going to need, and then humanity is going to need as well. You have to do it. You have to spread the message. You have to say al-haq, and he who accepts it will, and he who will not. But you have to do it. And then people make their choices. Have we done that yet? Have we actually spread al-haq enough for people to make their choices? Or is what's being presented to them by non-Muslims? You can't expect a non-Muslim to give them al-haq from Islam. Of course they're not going to give them al-haq. It would be weird if they did. It would be Muslim if they did. If they were capable of actually showing al-haq, right, to people, then they're doing it. Of course they're not going to do it. They're going to show whatever suits their agenda. That's what makes you different as a Muslim. You will spread al-haq, they will not. Can't blame them for it. Why? Because it's their agenda. They have their plan. At least they executed their plan. Everyone has something they want and they're doing it. Why are you blaming people for doing what it is that they want to do? My question is, why aren't we doing what we want to do? Why aren't we getting what we need to get out? Why aren't we spreading what we need to spread? We can't even take care of our own youth. We can't even take care of our own families. To talk about non-Muslims and وَقُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ. Wallahi, it's just one of the most powerful ayat, not just in the surah, but in the Quran. One of the most powerful ayat. وَقُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. It's going to be their choices, but you say what needs to be said. You better do it. You better do it the way I told you. You better do it properly. The way the surah explained to you it needs to be done. Because AlKahf did it properly. Did they not make a difference? Of course they did. People who didn't believe in them the first time around believed in them after they died. Because subhanAllah, people respect those who have causes. They respect principled people who aren't selfish in what they do. They're doing it. They have a selfless aim in what they do. People respect that. And if they don't listen to you the first time around, maybe one day they will. Did that not happen to the Prophet ﷺ? How many Muslims were spoken to in the first 10, 15 years didn't accept it, then accepted it later? Some of them accepted it later and then ran with it so well that they had influence and impact on the ummah like no other. Like Khalid bin Walid and Amr bin al-As. Even when you look at Umar al-Khattab, 6 years late. That's a long time. 23? That's over 4, that's 20%, 25%. Like he wasn't there for 25% of the Prophet's prophecy. Wasn't there, wasn't in the picture. Came late, still made a difference. Why? It's okay. Because some people will accept, some people won't. Just make sure you keep on doing what needs to be done. The ayah after that, within the ayah, it starts talking about the consequences. Just in case you think, just in case for a moment you read this ayah and then you listen to me, you think, oh, so you can do whatever you want and it doesn't matter. No. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. Oh, it really does matter. But I'm telling you this is how you're going to present it. This is your presentation. You choose what you want. Now, after you choose, the ayat will talk about the choices. Inna a'tadna lil-zalimin. Indeed, we have prepared for the wrongdoers or the oppressors, those who oppressed themselves or oppressed others, or refused the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In that sense, that would be oppression as well, because it was khayr, haqq that was given to you and then you turned it away. We have prepared for them naran, fire. Ahata bihim suradiquha, with walls that will surround them. Suradiq is a word that is used as a wall, but not a wall of a house, but rather a wall of a fort. So you're talking about a fort. So the walls of forts are usually multi-layered. It's not usually just one brick. It's usually a couple of layers of bricks put in different places, so that the pressure points are different. So it's not easy to knock them down. So that's what a suradiq is. What we prepared for them is a fire that has walls of fire, like a fort that will surround them, so they'll have nowhere to go. Ahata bihim suradiquha. This part of Surat AlKahf, very, very intense, very powerful. Talking about the punishment and talking about the reward as well. I'll give you both. So, because the question may come, well, why is it that everyone gets to do whatever they want to? Why do I have to? Well, because Habibi, the punishment and the reward at the end of it is really, really, really different. You shouldn't have a problem with this. You shouldn't have a problem with saying, okay, I'm going to spread the message, and those who accept it can accept it, and those who don't accept it, I'm fine with that as well. Like, no, they have to accept it. No, they don't. Why? Because you have no idea what's waiting on the other side of this. You have no idea what's waiting on the other side. Don't worry about that. That's none of your business. If anything, feel sorry. If anything, when they don't accept it after you present it, question yourself. Did I do this right? I must have done this wrong. I must have done this wrong. I didn't save him. But no, he's oppressing, saying bad things about Islam. Ya Habibi, don't take it easy. This person is in danger that he doesn't even know is happening. There's a train coming his way that he can't see. If anything, the feeling in the heart should be merciful. I didn't do it right. Then you question yourself and you see, maybe you could have said haqq better. Maybe you could have presented it in a better way. Maybe the words could have come out in a better way. Maybe I could have done it better because I didn't end up saving him. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. Hadith narrated by Bukhari. مثلي ومثلكم كمثل رجل عند نار وهو يذب الفراش عنها. He's standing beside a fire and there's the small, the butterflies or the crickets or insects that are coming to the fire. وأنا آخذ بحجزكم عن النار, and I'm holding you from your belts, holding you firmly so you can't go to that. I'm pulling you back. فإذا أفلتت مني واحدة أفلتت مني نفس ولكنكم تفلتون من يدي. But you are falling out of my reach and I can't catch you. Then he's gone. That's how he sees it. To him, Abu Jahl was just a guy that he put his hand out to catch before he fell and he couldn't catch him. And he ended up. Even after they fought him. He stood on Al-Qalib, right where they were buried. And he looked at them in sorrow, in regret. And he said, أَوَجَدْتُمْ مَا وَعَدَ رَبُّكُمْ حَقًّا. Have you found what I told you was Allah's promised truth? Did you find it? And Umar says, Ya Rasulullah, they're dead. He said, no, they can hear me more than you. They can hear. I told you, look what's happened. Are you happy now? No. That's why فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ, right at the beginning of the surah. Keep that point in your mind. To him, it was like he was in sorrow. He was in continuous sorrow. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Continuous sorrow, continuous agony and grief that he wasn't able to save everybody. And Allah would tell him, you don't have to do that. Take it easy. It's okay. Just do your part. And he was in continuous grief that he couldn't save everyone. That's why we have no problem. Say the truth. People accept it. People don't accept it. It's fine. It's up to them. It's not my problem. Actually, I feel bad about me. I didn't do it right. I talked to him and I couldn't get through. I told him about Allah, I told him about Islam, and then he brushed it off and walked away. I didn't do it right. I don't say, zalim. That's the zalim. That's the one the Quran talked about. No. That's not your point. That's not your thing. But if you feel oppressed and you feel tired and you feel like it's not going your way, well, know that, look, the weight of the reward and the tremendousness of the punishment will brush away and take away any agony or any doubt that you have, because it's beyond your ability to imagine. We are prepared for them. Fire that has walls of fire that will surround them. وَإِنْ يَسْتَغِيثُوا, and if they call for aid, if they scream for help, they cry for help, يُغَاثُوا, they will be helped. If they cry, we need help, it's fire, they ask for water or something. وَإِنْ يَسْتَغِيثُوا, يُغَاثُوا, they'll be given help. بِمَاءٍ كَالْمُهْلِ, with water that is like molten brass. Muhl is melt brass, that's called muhl. They'll be given water, like molten brass. يَشْوِي الْوُجُوهِ, that will fry and scald the faces. Now, do you hate the person who didn't accept the haqq? You still hate them? Imagining that moment, you still hate them. You still hate the person who didn't accept the haqq. After you imagine that, it's possible to hate them. What you feel is, brother, listen, you have no idea. Just listen, this is what Allah is saying. You need to change. You need to think differently. And when they say no and they push you away, and when they hit you and they physically oppress you and they take away what is yours, you read this ayah again. You're like, oh, this is going to happen. You'll be surrounded with walls of fire, crying for help, and then you'll be given water that is like molten brass that will scald the face. Bi'sa sharab, the worst thing to drink. Bi'sa sharab, bi'sa is the horrible, wretched thing to drink. Wasa'at murtafaqa, and truly evil resting place they have. The murtafaq in Arabic is a place of rest. From the concept that mirfaq is the elbow. So when you want to sit back, you put your elbow down, right? So this is when you rest. So murtafaq is a place for you to put your elbow, so you can sit back and you can rest. So وَسَاءَتْ مُرْتَفَقًا, and the most evil place to rest in the world is where they are. So do you still hate? Do you still, no, you can't, only you can't. Then if that's not enough for you, you'll recite the 2 ayat next, and then you'll be, inshallah, you'll be fine, and you'll be cured from ever feeling that again. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ إِنَّا لَا نُضِيعُ أَجْرَ مَنْ أَحْسَنَ عَمَلًا أولئك لهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتهم الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ويلبسون ثيابا خضرا من سندس واستبرق متكئين فيها على الأرائك نعم الثواب وحسنت مرتفقا. Indeed, the ones who believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and did the deeds that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them to do. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, I've explained that a couple of times now. I hope that's how you understand it. They performed the deeds that Allah created them to perform. They fulfilled their purpose. That's what عَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَات means. إِنَّا لَا نُضِيعُ. Indeed, we will not have anything that they did go to loss. لَا نُضِيعُ, will not lose. أَجْرَ, the reward. مَنْ أَحْسَنَ عَمَلًا, the ones who excelled in what they did. And this is, you say, well, why would he say it like that here? Oh, of course he's going to say that here. Because as you go through what AlKahf went through, as you prepare yourself and you come up with your plan and you look for people who are like-minded and you measure your wills and your actions to the wills of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and accept the fact that He does what He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He knows it all and He controls it all. You look through the Quran and you spread the message in the form that the ayah told you to spread the message. You're going to find it's going to be really, really hard. Very difficult and very unrewarding, to be honest. It won't be a very rewarding thing. And you may ask yourself, well, is it all for nothing? Is it all in vain? No. Immediately the ayah will tell you, the first thing you need to know, that nothing of what you did will be lost. It is all recorded. It is all accounted for. And you will be paid in full. La nudiya, nothing's going to be lost. I know you're thinking, well, I spent years of my life trying to do this, and I'm 70 now, and it still hasn't changed. Still as bad as it was when I was around. He tells you, nothing will be lost. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how little you feel you've done, no matter how hard or far the road seems, or the destination is, remind yourself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first thing He said in this surah, when He talked about reward, be assured, everything you've done is recorded. Nothing will be lost. The people who believed and fulfilled their purpose, أولئك, those ones, لهم جنات عدن, they will have the gardens of Eden. تجري من تحتهم الأنهار, the rivers of it will run under their feet. يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب, they'll be adorned with bracelets of gold. ويلبسون ثيابا خضرا من سندس واستبرق, and they will be wearing garments of green silk, both thin and thick silk of different types and different origins. متكئين فيها على الأرائك, reclining on their couches. نعم الثواب, the best of reward. وحسنت مرتفقا, the most excellent resting place. Right? So you look, this is where this group is. This is where this group is. Or this is where this group is. No, totally different. How could you possibly hold a grudge? How could you possibly feel hatred? How could you not be happy as you perform every single action of ta'ah, obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, spreading the message and doing it the way He asked you to do it subhanahu wa ta'ala? How could you not work for your community? And every moment as you're working to improve it and to strengthen the civilization of Muslims, feel totally happy. Because this is what's waiting for you at the end of it. See, this was waiting for AlKahf at the end of it. And the ayah before it was waiting for the king and the people who tried to prove him. So no hard feelings, man. If anything, forgive me if I didn't present this properly. Forgive me if I wasn't able to get to you. And I couldn't allow this beauty to enter your heart. Forgive me for it. And then you keep on, and it's the fuel for you to continue to do this. You'll never stop. Wallahi, with everything that we talked about and all the difficulties, you'll never stop doing what you know is the right thing to do with these last two ayah in your mind. This is what's waiting for those who don't, and this is what's waiting for those who do. And totally, those will have gardens of Eden, rivers running under their feet, bracelets of gold and garments of silk, from reclining on couches within the best of places, with the best resting place, the best of work. What else do you want? What else can you possibly hope for? The other. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and yatuba alayna. That was the, so I'll end inshallah with that. That sums up the first story with its commentary of Surat AlKahf. So Surat AlKahf is called Kahf, based on this first story in the surah. And this sums up the introduction, the story of AlKahf and what we learned from it, and then the commentary on it. I believe that the commentary is very important, probably even more important than the story itself, for us to learn what are the characteristics that we need in order for us to do what they did, have the impact that they had. We need to think the way they thought and act the way they acted, and then inshallah it will work out. And that sums up the first, and you can see it takes a very large part of the surah, meaning when you compare the other stories, you'll find they'll take smaller portions of the surah. This takes the biggest part of the surah. That's the most important part of all. Establishing your identity, knowing what you stand for, understanding what is al-haq to you, understanding what your principles are, defining them, crystallizing them, clarifying them, bringing people who are like-minded around you to do that with you, and then coming up with a plan that will serve you and your community properly is the most important step. If that step is not done, if you don't retreat a moment, if you don't retreat like AlKahf did, and say, okay, let's stop, and see where we are, and what is it that we need in order for us to stand up again, to rise, to take a stand that is worthy of us being Muslims, that will serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where we can say the truth, not being afraid of anything, knowing that what's waiting for us, nothing else is worthy. I can talk to you about wealth and knowledge and power, and it's going to be nothing, because that part's not there. That part's not there. So take whatever time you need, recite the first 31 ayah of Surat AlKahf, and see what they mean to you, and find ways to utilize them in your life. There's a possibility that I'm not here next Sunday.